All right, so a lot of people are going to tell you to memorize recoil patterns.
I kind of do. I went in the practice range and mapped them all, and then like made me a kind of a cheat sheet for every recoil pattern of each gun.
Yeah, so I honestly strongly disagree with that because they're so inconsistent. There's so many variations of each pattern. So I could just share my screen to you really quickly, and then you can watch. You can do a test for yourself too. They're actually like, so if you don't have a barrel stabilizer, if you watch my R301, you'll see it's completely inconsistent. And so like to be completely honest with you, it's very, very pointless to memorize them. You do not want to memorize them. You want to get good at reacting to them. Memorizing them will give you like mediocre level recoil, but if you want to get like elite level recoil control, you got to be learning how to react to them rather than memorizing them. Of course,
Is there a way to make the view clearer? Because it's honestly kind of hard to see.
it's probably
It's just
something on your
pops
end.
that way. Okay.
Yeah. It should be at least 720p. But basically
Okay.
like obviously like I'm on controller, so your recoil control might be better anyways. But my understanding of it is like it has to be perfect because I'm on controller. So anyway, you definitely want to be not memorizing it, just getting good at reacting to it. So when it goes left, you go right, obviously. So I do not memorize. I have no clue what any of the patterns are. I have absolutely no clue. It's just more so I'm very, very good at reacting to it. For a controller player, of course, I would say naturally your recoil control should naturally be slightly better than mine, anyways, because your mouse and keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. Um, so yeah, and then um, yeah. So like I just get very good at reacting to them, and then like the other thing is getting good at reacting to the rhythms of the different guns. So like the flatline, obviously the rhythm and the rate of change is totally different than the R301. Do you jitter aim the flatline?
No.
No? Can you like do you know what
I
jitter aiming
literally.
is?
I can't do it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can't really either. So like you can just control the flatline. Do you so like let me switch over to my mouse. So obviously like that's me with a controller, and then like me with a mouse. See like I can just control it, right? That's with a mouse, and like I suck with a mouse too. So you just hold down and then you like obviously counter the direction that it's going. So it looks like I'm jittering. It might look like I'm jittering, but I'm definitely not. I'm just basically controlling it.
Okay.
Oops, wrong gun. Yeah, so like I just pull down and I hold, and like I say, like because I'm a controller player, like as like I can't really emphasize enough how much I suck at mouse and keyboard. But as you can see, like I can still control it because my understanding of recoil control is so high. Like because it has to be perfect as a controller player. So basically, yeah. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Is there a way I could better describe it? Like, do you have any questions on it?
Uh, give me a second.
It's a lot of practice. So it's practice and getting good at reacting to it because it's inconsistent, like I said. So yeah, that's not bad. Like, you're like not really
But like
missing like
I'm controlling it to the pattern because
yeah.
that makes sense. I don't know how to like react to it. I just know how to counter it.
Okay. So like, are you thinking about the pattern?
I don't have to anymore.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like
That's
especially
fine.
like
That's fine.
with the flatline R3. It's like mainly like weird guns like maybe the Hemlock or the Prowler. But like most of the guns that I constantly use, I just know their recoil pattern.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So like, I don't actually know the pattern, but I know the rhythm. So like, I know the rhythm and I know the rate of change. So like, I know how often I need to make an adjustment, sort of, and I'm ready for that adjustment. So yeah. And then like so the hemlock, it's practicing, right? So like you practice the hemlock a little. Obviously the hemlock isn't like as good, but like basically you just hold down on the hemlock and then you just micro adjust whatever direction you might have to pull. But like you have to practice it a lot because like I say, it's inconsistent. And so you have to practice a lot so that your brain gets good at reacting to like the rhythm of the rate of change almost.
Alright.
Just
'Cause
like
I
a
know
lot of practice.
for the hemlock, it's the first two bursts are slightly. You need to pull down slightly down left, and then the rest you can pull straight down for the rest of the mag.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just to be clear, like I'm totally at the point. I have never ever memorized recoil patterns, but like I'm at the exact same point that you're at, where you don't think about it, because obviously in a fight you don't want to be thinking left, right, left, right. It's got to come automatically, and it's got to be natural.
My main question also is like when hitting moving targets, like I understand how to recoil smooth and stuff, but like sometimes I'm not always gonna be moving when I do it. And so should I be using the same recoil pattern counteract while moving with it? Or like
Kinda, but like if so, like it sounds like your question is about like a moving target that's moving fast, and
yes, exactly.
if you're tracking a target that's moving fast, the recoil smoothing comes naturally, right? I mean, like you don't have to think about it at all, because that is recoil smoothing. When you're tracking something that's moving fast, your gun is being recoil smoothed automatically. Does that make sense? Oh,
Oh.
so the point of the reason the recoil smooth mechanic is in the game in the first place is to make tracking moving targets easier. The exploit part of the moving, I'm not saying you shouldn't recoil smooth, but the exploit of the recoil smooth, the reason it's, I mean, like arguably considered an exploit almost, is because people have learned how to use their strafe to what's it called, replicate the effect of the recoil smoothing, right? But the reason it's in the game is to make tracking moving targets easier, so that we don't need to control recoil and track at the same time. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So my issue usually comes in at like longer ranges. Maybe like on but the obviously like a wraith is much smaller than that. And so trying to control the recoil while hitting a target that small is very difficult. Usually the recoil fucks me up.
Yeah. You
Because I
there.
guess they're far enough that they're not actually moving that fast on my screen, if that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yeah. So that's when you want to counter strafe the direction that they're moving if you want to recoil smooth. So if they're moving right, you want to strafe left. Usually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
think I
like
just need to
also,
do that more. A lot of the times when they're at that range, I find myself not moving much because because from the way I see it, it kind of when you recoil smooth, I kind of see like two hands on a clock moving like counterclockwise,
yeah,
right? And I feel like I don't get enough of that sideways movement to like really track
I
that.
agree. I agree. I think recoil smoothing's so overrated. That's just my opinion. I think it's so overrated. Um, like in my opinion, yeah, I just prefer to stand still. To be perfectly honest with you, that's what I do. But like I know that a lot of other people recommend recoil smoothing, and a lot of people recoil smooth. So like I think it's a lot. I don't know. A lot of people find it easier, but for me, I agree. I just like to stand still.
Uh,
And then like the other thing is practicing on these standing still targets. Like a lot of people practice on these moving targets only because they think it's like so much harder. But in my opinion, you see those moving targets back there? I don't really practice on them
yes.
because in my opinion, it's even like arguably sort of easier. Like what I do for recoil control is I just practice on the standstill targets because it shows me exactly what mistakes I'm making. Whereas like when you practice on the moving target, it sort of actuates the recoil smoothing sometimes, and so you're not actually getting a full understanding of the recoil of the gun. When for like purely like obviously for practicing tracking, maybe those moving targets are decent, but the thing is they're twice as wide as a normal person anyways. So for
Yeah.
purely practicing recoil control, I really like the standstill targets. I really like them. And then like
Okay.
another thing is like honestly for a mouse and keyboard player, even a control no, not really for a controller player, but for a mouse and keyboard player, those targets are actually too close. You want to make sure that you're coming up here, like standing here, sort of
Okay.
in practicing, or you can like even go further back too. Like see, like I can kind of even controller players, certain controller players practice up here.
Yeah,
Um,
this is like when I just start not really hitting much.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't really practice up here either, but
Uh,
uh, see, like when I switch over to the mouse, I can definitely do it. just like basically raising your expectations for yourself, and
Gotcha.
like because if you're only used to practicing down there, then you're probably not. Uh, I don't know. Then obviously this is gonna feel very awkward for you. Oh, also like use the 3x. Use the 3x or use whatever sight you want to use. I'm a huge fan of practicing with an iron sight as well, but I really like practicing with the 3x or like a really zoomed in sight because that's going to allow you to really feel the recoil, sort of.
Okay.
So like,
Because usually when I use the 3x, it's gonna be on the R3 or 3030 or the G7. I hate the 3 times on the flat line. I can't use it.
oh really? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's pretty usable at range at least. It's definitely usable because like it's gonna allow you to see so much better. So your tracking is just naturally gonna be so much better. Let's see. So like maybe I'm jittering for certain points in the recoil pattern. Like definitely not the whole time, but you definitely want to like certain points. You want to be prepared to sort of shake your mouse left and right almost for certain points in the recoil.
Move up a little bit further.
So like when you feel it like when you feel yourself losing control, you sort of do want to like almost jitter left and right.
1 second. I don't know why this keeps closing on me. Yeah, it's
So do you feel like on your recoil control, do you feel like you're over adjusting or under adjusting?
I can't. I just don't have control.
I
Like
so
I feel like there's like some element of randomness to certain guns, especially it's really I don't feel like I'm precise enough
yeah.
at like the longer ranges because I just start losing bullets.
What's your mouse sense in DPI?
I'm at 1800 DPI at I think 0.8 sensitivity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like pretty much a full swipe is like a 180 for me.
Yeah. Do you feel like it might be slightly too high or?
No, I actually I started at 1.1 probably like a month ago, and I've slowly been lowering it. And I moved it down to zero point 0.7 2 days ago, and I was just realizing I couldn't drag fast enough for like some flicks with PKs, and it overall felt a bit too slow. It was also harder to like do any type of movement too. So I think I've kind of found my sweet spot.
Yeah.
And now I just kind of need to hammer in my recoil at this range.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is I have a feeling you're probably over adjusting. Just try to focus on like micro adjusting those mouse movements when you're trying to control recoil, like just the smallest adjustments. Yeah, because like the thing is most mouse and keyboard players jitter aim the flatline, but it's very controllable. Like you can control it naturally. You just have to like the thing is it's kind of funny. Every controller player when we switch over to mouse and keyboard, we can control the flatline so easily because we just like understand recoil control so well. So like yeah, Jen Burton, he recorded his hand just barely moves and he can like beam the flat line just like me, like what I'm doing kind of
Yeah.
without jittering. It's sort of interesting. So like it's just micro adjustments. Like I don't know, really all it comes down to is like Jen Burton and I understand us as controller players. We have spent thousands of hours. I haven't heard that he spent thousands of hours in the range, but I know he has because I see how good he is. And same thing with me. Like I have spent no exaggeration over 1,000 hours in the range. just working on not just working on recoil control, but like one of the main things was recoil control. So because we controller players have to have a perfect understanding of recoil control. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it's just like for you as a mouse and keyboard player, you know, you're really only looking at maybe like 50 hours in the range, and then you're gonna have perfect recoil control. But yeah, just time. It's just a massive time investment. That's all it is. And then of course, like, you know, I'm not listening to anything while I'm in the range. Like I'm listening to podcasts, ebooks, that sort of thing. You know, taking in information while I'm in the range. So yeah, really all it comes down to is hold, you know, pull down to the right when it goes left, pull down to the left when it goes right, and thousands of hours of practice. Also, like practice on the dummies too, please. So like for example, you could stand up here and
I don't know.
practice.
The dummies are easier.
But like if we stand here, the dummies are honestly harder because they are not as wide. So like if we stand up here and practice on that far dummy, that's going to be harder because they're not as wide, so it's more realistic. It's like way more realistic because the targets are like twice as wide as the dummies. So yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, that's recoil control. Just comes down to practice.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, next. It's going to be submachine guns. So a little bit of submachine gun stuff kind of. So let's grab a R301 and an R9, please. And a gold mag on both. Oh, one last thing. Practice the Havoc and the Devotion a little bit, the recoil control on those, because they are so difficult. Like, let's just grab one and talk about it really quickly. I guess let's go with a Havoc. Yeah, so grab like a Havoc with a 3x, a turbocharger, and a gold mag. Oh, also practice with gold mags. Are you practicing with a gold mag?
I haven't been practicing with mags just because I'm not guaranteed to have one.
I understand. I understand the theory behind that, and I did that too for a
Should
long.
I have stock? Should I keep a stock or no?
I don't think so. No, some people do. It doesn't matter too much. The advantage of the stock is it will allow you to reload faster, which will allow you to practice faster because you're going to be shooting more. But what I was going to say was the reason we practice with a mag is because we get the full. We learn not the pattern exactly, but the full clip, right? So like I said, like we're not memorizing patterns, but so when I say pattern, I don't mean memorize it, but we learn how to control the full mag. Whereas like if we don't have a mag, then we're not like learning how to control the full mag. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's why like my recoil control when I started practicing with a mag, it took me to a whole nother level when I started practicing with a mag because it was just so much better. So yeah, I definitely recommend always practicing with a mag. And then like you can practice iron sights because like you said, like you're not always guaranteed a sight. But for me, you can feel the recoil so much better when you have a sight. So that's why oftentimes I practice with a sight or an iron sight, depending on what I want to get better at. And then yeah, the reason we practice with a turbo is just so that we learn the recoil better. So anyway, the Havoc is incredibly hard to kill or to control. But what the point of practicing the Havoc is maybe not even necessarily to use it because we're not going to use it a ton, but it's more so to learn the rate of change and the rhythm so that you see the difference. Because when I was practicing the Havoc one day, what I noticed was the difference in rhythm, right? So like it sort of clicked for me that it's more so about learning the rhythm of the gun and the rate of change than it is about the pattern. So it's the same thing with the Flatline and the R301. They both have totally different rhythms, and they obviously have such different fire rates. It's more so about learning that than it is about the pattern. So like I have no clue what the Havoc's pattern is. I have absolutely no clue. It's just I'm basically countering it. So like I'm sure you're having the same thing. Like the beginning seems almost kind of easy, and then it gets really hard towards the end. That's what I'm finding at least. So anyway, practice the Havoc and the Devotion because they're so difficult that once you switch back to the 301 and the Flatline, you're going to find that those are very easy guns to control. And like everyone, so many pro players would tell you to use recoil smoothing on the Havoc. I personally don't, but you can definitely consider it. Like pretty much every pro player would tell you to recoil smooth the Havoc. I personally, like I said, I'm not a fan of recoil smoothing. So, yeah. But yeah, that's a Havoc, the Devotion. I'll quickly grab a Devotion and sort of give you my thoughts on it. Obviously, the rate of change, the Devotion's just so different from the Havoc. I don't know, just basically controlling it again. It's super extreme though. You just like you have to be ready to make big adjustments fast with the Devotion.
Okay.
It's so difficult. It's very, very difficult. You can sort of jitter aim the Devotion too, but like I can't jitter aim. I'm not really mechanically talented enough to jitter aim.
Definitely can't do it, especially if it's like moving, because like I'm already moving my hand and.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I personally find jitter aiming kind of ridiculous, but obviously a lot of pros abuse it and say it's really strong. So I don't know. All right. Yeah, basically the point of me showing you that is just so you can see how much harder those two guns are, because they're gonna make the flatline. Now like try the flatline or the 301 if you have one of those. You'll find like it's just so much easier now that you're used to that. So yeah. See how easy that is?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. So yeah.
Got it.
All right. Can we grab a R301 and an R9 now, please?
Yep. What attachments on the R3?
A light mag on both, just a light mag on both, preferably gold or purple. All right. Now, yeah, just stand here, please. And then, yeah, of course, I never practice with a barrel stabilizer because that just makes it too easy. Now, this is my aim down sight strafe speed on the R9. So these rules apply to every submachine gun and every assault rifle. So this is the R9 when we aim down sights. Now this is the R301 when we aim down sights. I'm going to do no sight. Okay. So obviously way slower on assault rifles than submachine guns. And now if we look at the hip fire, observe the hip fire on both, you'll see the hip fire is the exact same. On every gun in the game, the hip fire is the exact same. Yeah. When it comes to speed. So that means that we really want to be practicing our assault rifle hipfire, because like when we're fighting at this range here, like if I'm ADSing you, I'm not moving fast enough, like you're gonna kill me instantly. So I have to learn how to hipfire my assault rifles. It's very important. So if you just want to, can you see my screen?
I don't have it up on my other screen.
I'll just give you a minute and you can get that pulled up.
Change this to windowed. Okay, I got it.
Perfect. All right, so practicing assault rifle recoil, or not recoil, but hip fire. I just stand in front of the dummy like this, strafe left and right, and work on the tracking. So the goal is to make it so obviously when you strafe left, your cursor automatically adapts to the right, so that you can strafe one way and your aim automatically adapts the other way. It's very important to be absolutely elite at this so that you're never off, because obviously the dummy's not moving, so you have to be perfect on him.
And should I be crouch strafing while doing it?
Not really. Are you on hold to crouch?
I'm on both.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, yeah, you can crouch a little with hold to crouch, but first point is it doesn't help that much because oftentimes you're just gonna lower your head into your opponent's bullets. So like only crouch strafe if it helps you aim. Okay. Do not do it if it's making you miss in any way. Please do not crouch at
Okay,
all if
I
it makes you
probably
miss.
shouldn't do it.
Yeah. So like when I was learning to strafe, I thought crouching was way more useful than it actually is. And so I learned how to strafe with a crouch. So like it's sort of built into me to crouch a little. So it sort of helps me aim because I just am more comfortable crouching sometimes. But if you do crouch at all, just make sure you're tapping crouch.
Okay.
Do not hold it down at all because crouching is not worth it because when you're
You lose the
crouching,
straight speed.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's just totally not worth it. The trade-off is not worth it at all. So if it makes you miss at all, absolutely don't do it.
What do you think about like ADSing for like the first few shots?
Yes, I agree, yeah. But only tap ADS, okay? At that range, you only want to tap it. Just like with crouching, it's not going to hinder your strafe speed if you tap it. I'll let you watch me in a minute so you can see from a mechanical standpoint like how long I'm ADSing for. But to answer your question, you want to ADS for the least amount of time possible.
Okay.
But it's okay to ADS a little. It is okay. If it helps you hit your shots. So in your head, you have to like think, it is the amount of accuracy that I'm gaining, is it worth making myself easier to hit? Because when you're ADSing, you're easier to hit. So you just have to like sort of balance out the trade-off. And that trade-off is going to be different in every engagement because every engagement's a little bit different. So it's never going to be the exact same. Obviously, this dummy is not moving, so it is the exact same every time, pretty much. But yeah, yeah. Couple quick things is the reason I practice in front of this dummy is because it's the only dummy with a flat surface in front of him. Also, what else? Let me just, I want to observe your strafe. I'll give you a couple pointers. So obviously you want to use your strafe to help you hit your shots. You don't want to make it hinder you. So, yeah, I'll just watch you. Let me observe you for just a second strafing. You don't have to shoot either. You just keep strafing. And I want to sort of observe your pattern. So the first thing that you're doing that I really like is you're perfectly lateral. So you're not doing any forward and backward movement. Some players have a habit of almost rainbow strafing. So like this, like don't rainbow strafe like this. You got to be perfectly left and right, which is what you're doing. Try to avoid the bumpy surface. You're sort of, I think your heels might be sort of tapping that. That might be messing you up a little. But yeah. I think it looks good. Try to throw in a little more inconsistency. Yeah, like that. That's really good. You can stand behind me and kind of watch me for just a second now, please. Just watch what I mean exactly by inconsistency. And so, as a rule, so this is a short strafe. This is my definition of a short strafe. And then this is a long strafe. Okay. So, as a rule, I don't like to do more than 2 long strafes in a row. And I don't like to do more than 3 short strafes in a row. That's pretty much the only rule when it comes to pattern. That's like really the only thing you need. But what's even more important than pattern is strafing in a way that helps you hit your shots. So obviously, I'm sure that's very obvious to you, but I just want to give you an exact example. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So if I'm over aiming to the right, I'm never going to strafe right no matter what. I'm always going to strafe left, obviously. I'm sure that's pretty obvious, but like you need to have a clear understanding of that. Is that every other thing that I just told you is not as important as the most recent thing that I just told you, where if you're over aiming right, never strafe right, because that's just going to mess you up. Always strafe left if you over aim right. That's the most important thing. So
I think I generally do that intuitively, but again, I might not in actual fights. I'm not, because it makes 100% sense here, but like when I'm actually shooting, I'm more focused on hitting the target. Like
yeah.
when they're shooting back. But I don't know. I think I generally do that. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm sure you do for the most part, but practicing this will definitely make it better. Just to make sure that you're like absolutely perfect on it. Yeah. And then like the other thing is this, doing this drill and these sort of things that make you mechanically better, it's going to improve your decision making so much, because then you're not thinking about your mechanics. If it comes naturally, then your decision making in game is going to be way better, and like your positioning. That's something that's so like people ask me about getting tunneled in and decision making, and one of the things I say is like mechanics are so important when it comes to decision making. It's super underrated, because like sometimes when I watch my clients, it's like, oh, you don't even know how to aim. So like how are you supposed to make good decisions when you can't like shoot straight, like when you have to think about how to aim, like some of my clients. So like it's like getting at an elite level with this is super important. So yeah.
What would you say is like the maximum like hip fire distance that you would usually go for?
With a hip fire transfer, you can watch me please for just a second. So with a hip fire transfer, there really is no limit. If you execute it to perfection like that kind of, there really is no limit. But like, see, watch, without a hip fire transfer, I've just got no chance. See that? If I don't start off ADSing. So you got to be making sure that you're hip fire transferring. And like, let me try it from here. Like I wouldn't really try it from there. But like, so let's say my opponent gets first shot off on me. So like this, so he gets first shot off on me. I might transfer into a hip fire like that and stop shooting when I transfer into a hip fire. See, to break his lock almost. Like, because like if I just stand still and he gets first shot off on me, he's going to fry me, right? And so to negate the fact that he gets first shot off, I'm going to start shoot right like that. See what I did? And then that's just going to make him have to readjust his aim. Sometimes I might do that sort of thing, but you have to have like sort of a really good feel to know if that's a good idea or not. If you get first shot off, it's okay to just stand perfectly still and fry him, usually, if you can get first shot off. Because the thing about this game is if you can crack his armor first, he's going to be flinching way more. So let me show you something. Can you grab one of these? So aim down sights and pay attention. So you're not flinching right now, okay? So you're not flinching when I shoot you. Now, when I crack your armor, so you're flinching.
I didn't know that. I actually know that.
So you can just change characters if you want to heal. Or you can do that too. But what's the point? Is that whoever, so like if you can crack his shield first at range, you're never going to lose that, because like so long as you're hitting him, you can literally stand perfectly still and he's going to have such a hard time frying you because he's flinching so much. So yeah, as you can see, the flinch is pretty significant. So that's what I mean. So like on assault rifles, it's very important that we get first shot off, because we don't have strafe speed to rely on. Now let's move on to submachine guns, and I'll sort of show you how I abuse the strafe speed. So like, I'll just wait for you to get a bunch of ammo. All right, so can you look at my screen, please?
Yep.
So now for submachine guns are so much more dominant at this range, because we can strafe so fast and still hit our shots and like aim down sights. Like obviously we can hip fire transfer an assault rifle, but if he's strafing at all, hip fire transfers, first of all, hip fire transfers are kind of bad on the flat line, to be honest with you. Like they're doable at this range. Hip fire transfers are good on the flat line, but like from back here, you'll see as you practice, the hip fire transfers are a little bit sketchy on the flat line. That's why I prefer the R301 so much. And that's why I'm like the only person in the world who says the R301's hip fire is better. It's because it goes straighter, so like you can hip fire transfer it better.
For me, like the flatline hip fire lost me like more fights than I can remember, to be honest.
Oh really?
That's the main gun that I lose hip fire fights on.
Yeah. You know what's even worse is the Spitfire. Try doing that with the Spitfire. It's so bad.
I have a few times, and then I realized I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. If you really get in their face, it's good. But so basically in like season 8, they nerfed the hip fire on that gun because it was way too good. Because like you could strafe full speed, obviously, because every gun you can strafe full speed, and the hip fire was perfectly accurate, so it was pretty annoying. It was just way too good. So anyway, what's the point? Oh yeah, right here. So with a submachine gun, it's way more consistent. Like this is way more consistent than a hip fire transfer, because I can aim down sights and strafe full speed and beam someone. So try that without shooting at first. Just try tracking without shooting. strafing like left and right and tracking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as you'll see, like that's maybe a little bit difficult at first. Maybe it's not for you, but it should be a little bit difficult. And so you definitely want to get to the point where you're perfect on that, and then try it with shooting whenever you feel that you're ready. Yeah. So yeah, so that's probably gonna feel a little bit awkward at first, but with practice, you're gonna be frying. Cause like imagine moving that fast at that range and frying someone. It's pretty insane. That's how you become lethal with submachine guns.
Okay.
So yeah, and then of course as you get good at it, try it at different ranges. And yeah. Oh, a quick note on tracking. I'll give you like my tracking drill since you wanted to focus on that. So whenever you're ready, because that's actually technically kind of tracking what you're doing too right now, but it's tracking like I don't know, aiming through your strafe. But let me show you this. So this drill, you slide down like this, and that's like super easy because I slid straight into him. But if you want to make it harder, you can slide at an angle like this, and then it's like way more difficult. So that's like a pretty difficult tracking drill. So since we don't like in the firing range, since we don't have moving targets, that's like sort of one of the best ways to practice tracking, because it's like you that's moving. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, another way to practice tracking, I'll show you this
I
too.
need to be doing that more.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of fights that I probably could have won if I slid and did that, then run around like a bumpkin and get beamed to where they're expecting me to come from.
Yeah, but at the same time, be really careful sliding. So here, pretend to be that guy. Go stand beside him. Be really careful sliding, because understand you're actually kind of easy to track when you slide in this game. See? It's actually kind of easy. So like be really careful doing that, please, because what's the point? I don't know, just be careful doing that because it's pretty easy to track. So yeah, it's more so like that drill is more so to practice your tracking. It's not really a thing that you want to do in game. It's definitely something I do sometimes in game, but like it has to be like you have to have some sort of an advantage to do that to someone, because it's pretty. Do you agree? Do you feel like that's pretty easy to track when I do that to you?
Kind of, yeah.
Like I feel like if someone has an assault rifle with like a sight, I feel like you're gonna get fried a lot of the time.
I'm not gonna lie though, like I definitely fall for that okey doke like a good few times, and it's mainly because I'm aiming up instead of aiming down, so I think it's more my reaction speed, and I think what I'm trying to say is generally when somebody does that to me, they already have the advantage, and I can't I don't react fast enough to take advantage of it before they kill me.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, for
yes,
sure. So what you're saying is like they're setting it up on you and then they're executing it.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying too, is like don't just do it, right? It's like
Yeah, I got
basketball.
you.
Like in basketball, don't just dribble in between your legs to do it, right? Like you have to set up the move. So yeah. Yeah. So it's like anything, like all the movement stuff that I'm gonna show you, or like anything like that, like any of this stuff, you have to like set it up. You can't like just do it. You have to like understand why you're doing it before you do it, sort of. So yeah. All right. What's next? So like if you have any questions, I can explain in extreme detail why we do everything that we do. So like if you have any questions on why we're doing it, because that's pretty much the most important thing, is like not just understanding how to do things, but understanding why we're doing them. So if I don't explain how to, or why we're doing something, just ask and I will explain in detail. All right. So like obviously the hipfire transfer, the reason we're hipfire transferring is because we're combining the accuracy of the ADS with the speed of the hipfire. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Next. Yeah. So that's submachine guns. It's pretty simple. It's a lot more like submachine guns are a lot more forgiving because you can get caught out in the open a lot better because you have that movement speed to rely on. So whereas assault rifles, we want to really focus on playing cover to cover for the most part. The hip fire transfer is sort of a last resort. I pretty much only hip fire transfer like once every game. Like I try to avoid that situation as much as I can. So yeah, and I also hip fire transfer. I think I hip fire transfer the most in the world out of anyone. Like I hip fire transfer a lot. and I do it like maybe once or twice a game max. So yeah, it's sort of a
So pretty much generally SMGs, you just either you're aiming down sight or you're closer and it's all hip fire.
yeah. So like the
Okay.
thing with a submachine gun is you still have so much strafe speed, so you can ADS or hip fire. It depends on what you're more comfortable with. Um, so like there isn't like if you're more accurate ADSing for whatever reason, then definitely just ADS the submachine gun
I should
because
probably do that.
yeah, because you can still move so fast anyway. There isn't really a need to hip fire usually. So yeah,
Wait, can you show me what the ADS speed like
yeah.
while hip firing versus?
This is hip fire on the submachine gun.
Yeah.
See, and then this is ADS. So I think
Okay, so it's honestly not much of a difference. I think I should probably just ADS every time then.
exactly. Yeah, I think it's about 80%. Like it's about 80% as fast.
Okay.
So like we can consider that basically a non-factor. Whereas assault rifle, it's a massive factor. It's a massive, massive factor. So yeah. All right. Yeah. So like in my mind, it's just a total non-factor with submachine guns. I just do whatever I'm more comfortable with. All right. What's next? Let's talk about we can just quickly talk about the car. So the car is a gun that you definitely want to be recoil smoothing. You definitely want to be recoil smoothing it. And obviously, like the other thing is, because the car has so much horizontal recoil, so like if you want, you can quickly check the car's recoil. You'll see obviously it has so much
I have
horizontal.
the car down pretty good.
Nice, that's awesome. So yeah, so I don't know. And then like if you combine it with the ADS strafe, you're really gonna like it. So yeah.
Yeah, I've been running the car. I've been slowly replacing it with shotguns just because a lot of times if I run the PK or the EVA, I'll just completely whiff shots when I only needed like 20 damage to win the fight, and instead I whiff the shot and they kill me.
Yes, exactly. And that's why you want to be using the PK as entry rather than a closer. The PK is better for entry because, like you said, like if they're just 20 HP, the PK is sort of a waste. So usually pros use the PK as entry damage, and then switch to their full auto. Usually. But yeah, you're right. The car is, in my opinion, I don't know about better than shotguns. We'll talk about shotguns, but it's definitely a nice, it's a nice shotgun variation for sure. Yeah, that's the car. Any questions on it?
Uh, no.
Cool. Prowler, I'll just quickly give you a couple tips on the Prowler. Prowler, the biggest thing that you want to understand with it is that it's a 5-round burst. So, like, most people think it's 3-round burst, but it's actually 5. I mean, like, it's pretty obvious that it's 5, but, like, most people play it like it's a 3-round burst. What I'm trying to say is no one's used to using a 5-round burst. Like, it's totally awkward. It's very awkward. So, like, no one's used to it. So, point being, take your
That's
time with it.
5?
Yeah,
It
it's
is
5. It's
5.
5, yeah. So, like, take your time with it. Take your time with each burst, even if it means not spamming it as much as you can. You definitely want to be spamming it as much as you can, but don't spam it if it means missing. Like, don't spam to the point where you're missing your next shot. Like, take your
Okay.
time. So,
And this is one of the guns like if I use it, I only like hip fire it
yeah,
because the hip fire's pretty good.
yeah.
And then I really hate the sights on it.
Yeah. With practice, actually, the iron
Yeah.
sight's not too bad if you practice it. But, yeah. That's a Prowler. I don't know. Just take your time with it. Any questions?
No.
Cool. The Volt is basically like the car in the R9. It's the exact same, but easier
Yeah.
and better. I just want to quickly give you a quick philosophy on submachine guns. So a big thing that I consider is damage per mag rather than damage per second. In my opinion, damage per mag is more important because damage per mag is obviously the deciding factor in one clipping someone. So like I personally prefer damage per mag. So like the Prowler, obviously, I think the Prowler has by far the highest damage per mag, but like it's also the hardest to use, so I don't really use it. The Alternator has very high damage per mag, but the time to kill simply isn't fast enough, so it's not really a gun that I
Yep.
use. And then the R9 kills very fast. I think it kills the fastest, but the damage per mag
I
isn't that
miss.
high. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I said I'd usually miss too many bullets with it.
Exactly. So you're not one clipping. So even though it kills so fast and it's not that hard to aim with, it's just that like it shoots so fast and the damage per bullet isn't that high. So if you miss it all, it's not worth it. So yeah, that's why the car is so much better. Like you said, like the car is just so good. So yeah, I think the Volt is by far the easiest submachine gun to use and probably the best overall. But like if you're using your submachine gun like a shotgun, basically, like I think you do, sort of like just like a hardcore secondary like a shotgun. I think
Yeah.
I think the car is the best secondary. It's also the most
Okay.
versatile because you can use any mag and you can use like light or heavy mags, and you can also use light or heavy ammo, so it's more
So
versatile.
specifically, and I guess the main thing is I don't always have the option. Like if I find a purple energy mag and I find a Volt, I'm probably gonna run the Volt.
I
But
agree.
like out of choice, when I can, when I just have the options, generally I'll run the Volt with like 30-30 or G set with longer range weapons, and then I'll run the car with shorter range weapons
Yeah. So
if I
like
have the option. Because
yes.
I definitely noticed that the car kills a good bit faster, but I think the Volt generally is a little bit better at range and can kind of stop gap a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Like Volt with a scout, that's like pretty much the nastiest combo in the game. It's so good. If you're curious on like how much ammo I would hold for Volt Scout, I'd probably hold either 120 or 180 for my Scout. Either is fine. Maybe 240 sometimes. And then I'm gonna hold either 120 or 180 for my Volt. So yeah.
Okay. So usually I really haven't been running the Scout too much. If I take a marksman, I usually take the 30-30. I I like the slower fire rate, I guess, because my tracking's not. That's another issue I have is kind of long range tracking with the longer weapons and the knowing the exact like lead distance or bullet drop because I miss a lot of shots just because I don't know like the bullet drop or the lead distance, and I've looked and I can't find like any type of exact metric besides like just learn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like I don't worry too much like about the numbers when it comes to bullet drop. I know that in general, heavy weapons have slower bullet travel time, so I think that you're like when it comes to that, I think that you'll have an easier time hitting your shots with the scout. Um,
I did not know that.
yeah, yeah. In general, you'll notice that the light bullets. It's but the thing is, it's barely noticeable at that range. But that's kind of why the R301. Like if you sort of compare the R301s, it like zaps harder at like at medium range. The R301 zaps harder than the flatline. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like zaps, right? It's just a little bit faster. That's kind of
Yeah.
why I prefer the 301. And so, but yeah, in general, I don't worry too much about numbers and that sort of thing. When it comes to single fires, what I do is I basically just shoot my first shot and then go off that. Like I think that's because like consciously thinking about numbers is probably gonna make you overthink. So basically, what I do when I'm like if I'm trying to shoot a scout long range, is what is it?
Dude, I mean, you don't know me, but dude, I'll literally just miss the whole clip. Like, I'll miss all 6 shots trying to shoot someone across the map.
So
And it's like I do like try to correct off of. I just have a very hard time hitting those far shots.
yeah, maybe like I don't want to say lower your expectations, but there is a chance that your expectations are too high when it comes to consistency at that range. Could be wrong, but like compare yourself to like pro players. I mean, like maybe not like so compare. So obviously you're not going to be as good as a pro player at first, but like even pro players at that range are a little bit inconsistent. So, but yeah, just to like answer your question, just to tell you the truth, what I do is I just shoot my first bullet and then go off that. Like how far off was my first bullet? If it is off, and then I adapt to that because like ping is different. Like I feel like at that range, ping is a massive factor. Um,
Okay.
in my opinion, it is at least. I could be wrong about that, but I think ping is a massive factor at that range. So it's going to like contribute to shot
And that
timing.
is one other thing I kind of have issues doing is like at the longer ranges, sometimes I have a really hard time telling if I was shooting ahead of them or behind them.
Hmm.
Like if like obviously I'm shooting ahead of them to try to lead it, but a lot of times I can't tell if they're running too fast and they passed it or I shot ahead.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure what to do about that. Just
Okay,
maybe
just a learn
maybe
thing.
maybe try to pay better attention to like where the bullet goes. Or like
Okay,
look at the sand, like if you're shooting into sand for example, it should make a mark or it should like shoot the sand, like the sand should come up. You can do
okay.
that. And like yeah, that should you should be able to tell where the bullet's going based off like whatever you hit. Like look at whatever you hit. It should impact whatever you hit in some sort of a way. Like sand is gonna shoot up, snow is gonna shoot up. So yeah, that should tell you. But like in this game, you also don't want to fight super long range that much, anyways, for like a couple reasons. Because oftentimes when you're doing damage like this far away, like to this target that I'm shooting right now, um, even if I hit that guy for 150, by the time I get there, he's going to be fully healed up anyways. So it's usually like fighting at that range is oftentimes sort of a waste of time. Because if you watch pro players, like you'll see they, for the most part, play pretty close range guns. Because like what I'm doing by shooting this far is I'm just making noise. At the end of the day, like I might be doing damage, but I'm not really getting a kill from this far. And so I'm making noise and I'm making the fight take longer than it should, which is just attracting third parties. Like you want to close.
So
Yeah.
my main question is because especially like this season King's Canyon, right? There's a lot of open space and it's not like that. There's a lot of open space. Sometimes people are just stuck running through that I feel like should be free kills if I could fucking aim better and hit my shots. And it's I generally play ranked like extremely conservatively. Like I play ring. I land. I'm always probably one of the last teams to drop because I always look backward and see how split the map is and try to like land in a big gap so nobody comes behind us.
Yeah.
But there's usually a lot of open space that I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that.
No, I understand what you're saying. Um, yeah. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of open space on this map though. And so like it can be good, but like it can be good to shoot from long range, but you have to be like watching your back because oftentimes what I see, like especially like when I'm coaching mouse and keyboard players, I see that you guys are inclined to do damage at long range, and it's not. Oftentimes, it's not really doing too much, right? Like we're not really even capitalizing on the damage. So you got to have like some sort of a plan to capitalize on the damage almost, rather than just
Okay.
making noise. So that's why like if you just force yourself to run either an R301 or a flatline every single game, preferably usually, then
I usually do as my main.
yeah, then that's gonna like force you to fight at a range that you can actually capitalize on. But like
Okay.
you got to be taking fights where you're not gonna get third partied. It's super important. But also the scout, like you can run the scout, but please don't get in the habit of like playing too far behind your teammates and that sort of thing, and making fights take longer than they should. What I see so much when I'm fighting in lower level lobbies and when I'm watching my clients play is I just see fights taking way longer than they should. You need to like, sorry, go ahead.
I don't know. I was just agreeing.
Yeah,
Usually, I'm the person of issue with our team to an extent, and I'm not sure. That's why I'm pretty excited for like team play review because a lot of times like we get good cracks and I'll send it and my team kind of just doesn't follow up and I'll knock one and maybe have gotten like another one sometimes or at least broke another one and in my head it just immediately made sense like go, we need to finish this, we're probably not going to get a better chance. And they kind of lag behind and I die. And I think it might be my fault, but like I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, like it's tough. You guys just have to be on the same page. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that when we review that. But
Okay.
like your team's got to be in the mindset. So what I see a lot of people doing is people are in the mindset that that they're in like an arena match, that they're in a 3-on-3. You're never be in the mindset of being in a 3-on-3 in this game unless you're absolutely certain that you're never getting third party no matter how long you fight for. This is not arenas. This is not 3-on-3. We are like if there's 40 other people in the lobby, we're 3-on-40, right?
Yep.
We fighting is a privilege. Not getting third partied is a privilege, and it can be taken away from you in an instant. So, you got to be in the mindset of it being safer to take a risk in a fight, in a fair 3-on-3 fight. Take risks because what's even riskier is making the fight take longer because you're just increasing the chance of a third party. So, like finishing fights quickly and getting aggressive quickly is actually like pretty much the safest thing you can do because like if you take longer than 20, 30 seconds to finish the fight, you're getting thirded on this map. So, yeah.
Okay. For the wing, do you have like any advice for the wingman or advise to run it? It's something I like to use, but usually underperform unless it's very close range. But even then, sometimes I just whiff and die.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a really good gun. But the biggest, like for me, the biggest negative is the fact that you can't really run a sight on it. I mean, like aside from a 1, like running a 2 on it kind of sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
And so,
I have a very hard time using the iron sights or any other sight. It usually has to be the one time for me, or I don't hit anything.
do you have the good sight for it, the good iron sight?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
Nice, awesome. So let's see. Wingman tips. Yeah, so yeah, just understand. Like, I really don't recommend running it for a secondary. There's a couple like Ace. Do you know Aceu?
Yep.
Sometimes
I'm
he
watching
some
pretty avidly.
Yeah, sometimes he runs it as a secondary. So let me show you the biggest advantage of running it as a secondary. Like the only advantage is so he'll run like 301 Wingman. I'm sure as you've noticed. That's personally, in my opinion, 301 and Wingman, they're both primaries. Like, in my opinion, I don't really like running the Wingman as secondary.
Yeah.
But so what he does, basically, the advantage is just watch my screen really quickly. So,
Okay.
like, let's say I get this person low like that, right? But I run out of bullets in my 301. See, like, the advantage of the Wingman is the weapon swap speed. So you can swap so fast, and, like, obviously if you get them one shot, then you can kill them super fast. So, like, that's sort of the advantage, is the swap speed. It'd be way faster if I had a stock on my 301, but yeah, so like the swap speed. So a lot of people like using it as a closer for close range, but like for me, like the 301 and the Wingman, they fill the same role. And then I don't like running it as a primary because I can only run a 1x, so I just can't see far enough usually. So like
Okay.
that's my opinion on the Wingman, but it is very strong. It's like
'Cause
a
I see him run it like as a primary quite often, dropping like 3-4K games, and he's like fucking dinking people all the way across the map.
yeah, yeah. So you can do that. Like it's definitely possible. It's just maybe a little bit hard to see.
He's a freak.
Yeah. In my opinion, it's a little bit hard to see, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that's one of my issues. Is like literally I can't see people to hit them that far, and I'm just making sure it's not a me thing.
Yeah,
Like there's not something I'm missing.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely not. Just consider the wingman as like kind of a duelist weapon. Like your goal with the wingman is to not lose 1v1. So understand the first thing. Understand this is. Just stay right there, and let's pretend that we're fighting. So just pretend you have an R301, or no, pretend that I have an R301 actually, because I do. All right, yeah. So stand there. Now strafe left and right, and look at me on your screen, or sorry, look at yourself on my screen while you strafe. You see how fast that is?
Yeah.
You can strafe full speed while aiming down sights. That's the biggest advantage of the wingman. So that's why it's a duelist weapon. Now look at me on your screen. Look at how fast I'm strafing with my R301. So if I'm strafing this fast and you're strafing that fast, you should usually win that if we're both out in the open. So consider it a duelist weapon, right? It's a duelist weapon. The other thing is let me give you like a quick like little my opinion or like my philosophy on the strafe. So I'm gonna make up a number. Let's say the wingman's fire rate is 1 second, so it shoots once every second. I'm going to strafe. So this is how you can just basically not touch your mouse or barely have to touch your mouse, and you can still aim very accurately. So let's say this guy's an R301, so he's barely going to be moving at this range. So in theory, If if I shoot and I strafe left for half a second and right for half a second, I'm going to be back in the exact same place. Of course, he's going to be strafing a little bit, so you're going to have to micro adjust your mouse a little. But for the most part, you kind of want to align the fire rate of the wingman with your strafe. So once again,
Okay.
it's using your strafe to help you aim, because you have to be strafing with the wingman. There's no point in using it if you're not strafing. There's absolutely no point. And so you have to be strafing. And so if you can align your strafe with your fire rate, once again, it's not actually once every second. I don't know what the fire rate is, but yeah, just align the fire rate with the strafe, and then you should be pretty accurate. So you can give that a try if you want. Give it a quick try. I think you'll like it.
I think that's the exact issue I have. I literally off ticket. Like, I do the opposite of what you told me sometimes, because I'm just trying to shoot and hit them. Like,
yeah, exactly. So like with the wingman, pay attention to how much pros miss. I know Asu hits a lot, right? But like, don't just watch highlights. Like, watch him use the gun. Like, if you just watch a YouTube video, you're only seeing highlights. That's the thing. Like,
I've came to that realization probably about 3 to 4 days ago, and I was deciding on like how to improve, and I realize I'm holding myself to like unrealistic standards, and they probably die a shit ton of times that I never get to see, because I don't particularly watch Twitch, but I probably should for improvement purposes.
yeah.
But
Yeah, because like you'll watch, like if you watch 10 YouTube videos and then you go over to Twitch and watch a pro, you'll be like, "Oh my god, you kind of suck." Right? Like, you're not as good as I thought you were, because they actually do miss a lot. So, with the wingman,
that actually,
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said that makes a lot more sense, just using the ADS to aim instead of... Oh, that makes so much more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Because before I was ADSing, but trying to track while I did it, and that
Exactly, yeah.
didn't really work. Okay.
Yeah. And so like you're not always like the thing that I said to you about aligning the strafe with the fire rate, it's not always going to be exactly how I said it. I was just trying to articulate what I do the best way that I can. So,
I got you.
yeah.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I'll be
Okay.
back in like a minute.
Yeah.
All right, I'm back.
All right, nice. All right. Yeah, just one last pointer. I just want to re-emphasize, no one is consistent with the wingman. You're gonna miss a lot, no matter who you are with the wingman. You're gonna miss a lot. It's more so a gun of like, when you do hit your shots, they're just instantly dead. So that's sort of the point with the wingman. So you might miss a clip or two, but you know those times where you hit 3-4 shots in a row, that's when the wingman really that's when it counts. So yeah. All right. But certain pros do completely avoid the wingman just because it is so inconsistent, like compared to the 301 or the flatline. Like if you look at Rogue, for example, Rogue back in season 3, do you know who Rogue is?
No.
Okay, so back in season 3, he was like the first 301 player. Everyone in season 3 ran Wingman, R9, and Peacekeeper, and that's it. Actually, also the Scout. The Scout was insanely good back then, but the Scout was sort of GA'd. Like it was sort of like uncool to run the Scout. So oftentimes pros would not run the Scout outside of like actual comp. They would not run the Scout in pubs or ranked because it was like considered just not nice because it was so good. But anyway, also pubs were just and ranked was so easy back then that they could afford to do things like that. But anyway, whereas like right now, basically everyone abuses everything. There's really no GAs in this game. But so what's the point? I don't know. I feel like I had a point. Oh, everyone. Oh, I don't even know why I was telling you that. I really don't know what my point was. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, we talked about hipfire transfers. We talked about Wingman. Now we can talk about the Peacekeeper. Oh, that's the point, is Rogue. Rogue has always gone for consistency. Like back in season 3, everyone was running Wingman, R9, Peacekeeper. And the 301 like was so underrated, no one ran it. And but Rogue was like the only person who ran it. So he's always opted for consistency over like the Wingman. So
Okay.
yeah, that was sort of the point. Also the flatline was insanely good too, and no one ran it because like I don't know, people just like it was ridiculous back in season 3 the way that everyone just like followed the meta but no one actually knew what the meta was, so it's kind of funny. All right, let's see. Peacekeeper, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So the Peacekeeper, first thing I want to show you is time to kill. So without headshots, this is the Peacekeeper's time to kill, and that's of course with a purple bolt. So that's best case scenario. Now this is the R301. See, so it's way faster. Obviously the car is even faster than the 301. So that just sort of shows you like the Peacekeeper's time to kill is sort of low. It doesn't mean it's bad. It means that we need to use it strategically like this, right? So yeah, jiggle peeking, and then like of course obviously bubble fighting. The Peacekeeper is very dominant for bubble fighting, but there's a lot less Gibbies now that Furia kind of destroyed Gibby meta. But yeah, so that's sort of the Peacekeeper. And then one last point is, like I said earlier, I was going to show you how to use the Peacekeeper as an opener rather than a closer. So like this. Oops, my gun was not ready. But let me show you just one more time. So as an opener like this, so you hit like 100 pump or like however much, and then it's like a guaranteed one clip from there. So that's like a really, really nice Peacekeeper strategy.
I think I usually do the exact opposite. Like I'll with my mag and then try to PK them and die.
Yeah, that's honestly a scenario that you really want to avoid because obviously it sucks. So yeah, give that a quick try. Yeah, and get good at like unholstering and holstering really quickly, and swapping weapons. It's super important.
That's one thing that gets me killed. So you see how I like had to crank there? Like a lot of times I'll take like a shot and then I'll switch and then I need to switch back and the extra shelling usually gets me killed. So should I wait for it to re-crank before swapping?
No.
Or
just
okay.
just remember that it's not ready, right? You have to remember and then get behind cover, get it ready, and then go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's okay, but like yeah. You just have to get behind cover. Like obviously you don't want to have to do that in the middle of a fight. It's so like the thing is though is that we can kill one individual so quickly by doing that. Usually it's not a big deal. Like we can get behind cover, right? And then boom, and then keep going. So yeah. So like just watch pros. Like the best pro to watch for that, in my opinion, when it comes to like Peacekeeper actions per minute is Taishin, in my opinion. Taishin's Peacekeeper actions per minute are absolutely insane. So yeah.
Okay.
He runs like Peacekeeper Wingman a lot. If you watch him play, like you'll see he switches between like he'll shoot a couple Wingman shots, switch to the PK, shoot a shot, then switch back to the Wingman, shoot a couple shots, switch back to the PK. Like he just doesn't reload, and he'll wipe teams like that. He just literally doesn't reload. That's the nice thing about PK Wingman is you can dish out so much damage to a team.
Uh,
So yeah.
I had like one question for like short engages, right? So let's say I somehow hit this guy and he gets behind cover. Is there a way to? Because I swear Fade does something and he just like super jumps and he moves extremely fast into like a tap strafe, and I don't know how he does like a weird back jiggle thing before he flies, and he gets like a lot of movement speed before to like get behind cover way faster than if I were to try to do this in tap strafe, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like acceleration from a standstill.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I know exactly what it is. So can you see my screen?
yes.
All right. So it's like this. So it goes. So if I'm standing right behind this cover, so he does it right behind a beam a lot, right? So let's just pretend this is a beam. So he does this. So watch. It's like this. So what it is when you start moving forward while you're crouching. So you know how you have to be running for a certain amount of time to slide.
Yes.
So if you start walking forward while you're crouching, so let's say that amount of time is 1.5 seconds. Okay, I don't actually know how long it is. Let's say it's 1.5 seconds. It takes 1 second to go from crouching to standing. That timer starts the 1.5 second timer starts while you're crouching. So if you start walking forward while you're crouching, that timer starts. And so that means that once you've stood up, you only need to run forward for half a second in order to get a good slide. So it's like this. See, that's how you get an instant slide when you're behind cover. So it's like just a quick crouch and then boom. So that's what he's doing.
So I think I see. And so does it matter how far you move, or just the time that you're? Is it how far you move while crouched, the crouching, or how? Yeah. Is it just the crouching, or is it how far you move, or how long it takes to move while crouching? If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's how long it takes. So it's all about starting the timer. So there's a certain timer for how long you have to be moving forward for. Okay?
Okay.
So if you start moving forward while you're crouching, so if you start moving forward while you're crouching, it takes 1 second to stand up. That's not true. I'm just making it up so you understand. It takes 1 second to stand up, okay? So if you start moving forward for half a second, by the time you stood up, you can slide instantly.
Oh,
Yeah.
so far.
So start moving forward for just half a second or like 0.2 seconds. It's more like 0.2 seconds while you're crouching. And then as soon as you stand up, you'll be able to slide. So just move forward for just 0.2 seconds while you're crouching. Yeah, and then stand up and then slide. And then as soon as you stand up, you'll be able to slide. But holster your weapon, please. Holster your weapon. That's messing you up. Yeah.
Oh, so weapon has to be holstered?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
And then I got it.
Don't worry about the weapon yet. Don't worry about the weapon at all. Just keep practicing that. Yep. There you go. Try this one more time, and then I'll explain the weapon.
No. So it's
So here, let me.
crouch before you move.
Yeah.
Before any movement, and then it's.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
It's gonna take some getting used to.
let me make one more point. The point of doing this, so watch this, watch this. I can do the same thing from back here without a crouch at all. See? So the point of doing this is he does it when he's behind pillars or when he's behind something that's super tight, right? Because like if he's back here, there's no need to do it, right? So he does it. So you see this, like when the person can just barely not see him. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So watch, if I move an inch to the left, see, he can see me, right? So that's when you want to use this, is when you're just barely out of sight, right? And then you go boom, right? That's when you use it.
Does looking down change anything?
No.
I see how you like slightly look down and like once you start to run out.
I do that because it looks cool. That's it.
Okay.
Same thing with like a lot of people. A lot of people do that sort of thing just because it looks cool, and it makes it seem like we're doing something that we're not doing, but we're not doing anything. It just looks cool.
Okay. So
It's also a flow state thing, right? So, like, do you understand what flow state is?
I've heard of it, but no.
So flow state is like when you're moving in rhythm. If when you're moving in rhythm, it's like sort of a sports term. So like when an athlete is locked in, right? It's like that. That's flow state. So when we're moving in rhythm in Apex, we're more so in flow state, and we're gonna, for me at least, me and most pro players, most people are more accurate when we're moving in flow state because we're more so in a rhythm, and so our accuracy will even be better, and our brains are more active when we're moving in flow state. So that's partly why I do that. So like something else that I used to do too is this. Like I'll just like literally on slide jumps, if you just want to see my screen, something like a lot of people will do is like look down when they slide, right? Or like I'll do like a little spin when I slide. There's absolutely no point aside from looking cool and flow state. It's also flow state, right?
Okay.
Like, yeah. So, all right. And then like, yeah, when I'm using a mouse, sometimes I'll just like sort of, I don't know. Let me switch to mouse. I'll sort of do that, like just to like, I don't know, get my arm like ready almost. Like, I'll do like little jitters or like little movements sort of with my mouse, just to like make sure it's still ready and like to keep the blood flowing, kind of. So, yeah.
Okay.
Because there's so many like long periods of not fighting in this game. And so, yeah, you definitely always want to be ready. Now the gun part. Let me teach you the gun part. We're gonna go over this more later, but the gun part. So what button do you hit to unholster?
The 6. I use a Razer Naga, so I've got a lot of thumb buttons.
Okay, cool. So it's 6. I just want to know what to call it. Okay, so we're gonna call it 6. So, what's the thing called that you have, by the way? I was just kind of curious.
What's the what?
What's the keyboard?
Oh, it's a Razer Naga.
Naga? Is that like
Naga? Yeah, it's got 12 thumb buttons.
Oh, cool. All right. So anyway, we go. So you can just watch my screen for this at first, please. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So most people to unholster their weapon go slide, jump, and then hit 6. So slide, jump, and then hit 6. Right. That's pretty obvious. That's not what we want to do. We want to go 6 and then slide jump. See, and then we still have full momentum, and then by the time that we jump, like once we're in the air, our gun is out. So we're in the air and we have full momentum and our gun is out. All right, so it's 6. Okay. So here, let me show you how to practice it. We just break it down into steps to make it easier. So when you're running around, just run around, go 6, slide jump, and then holster. All right, 6, slide jump, holster. Just practice it. 6, slide jump, holster. That's super important.
Well, it's not. That's my unholster. So it would just be.
So like you're running around holstered, maybe whatever. I don't know what button it is, but.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Cause like recently I learned like bee hopping, and so I had to learn how to like pull out a bat before slide jumping.
Oh, nice.
That makes sense.
Yeah, same exact mechanic. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Button first, then movement. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Nice.
That makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. So yeah, so anyway, for that fade technique, what it would be
strafe into it too.
Like that.
Oh my god. This changes everything. Because I swear, like, I see it, so I try to replicate it, but obviously I was doing it wrong, and then just not having the movement. Like, there's been so many plays that I tried to make that I guarantee if I did this right, it would have worked, but it didn't work because I wasn't doing it right. I was going too slow, and I died.
Yeah. For sure.
That makes so much sense. Okay, awesome.
Cool. All right. Yeah, so that's a Peacekeeper. That's pretty much everything I've got on that. I'll quickly go over the EVA now. So the EVA, obviously you can kill a lot faster with the EVA, but the strategies that I showed you for the Peacekeeper are a little less relevant, like jiggle peeking on the EVA, just not quite as good at all. But what we want
to... Question.
Yeah.
Something you said earlier. Does the stock affect the weapon switch speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So read the details on the stock. Faster handling. So what does faster handling mean? That means
Rob,
that means weapon swap speed. Faster handling. That's what that means.
I always I don't know. I remember reading it early on, and for some reason I thought it affected like strafe speed, or I don't honestly I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, and that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just go through each one. What each one means. Faster handling. That means faster weapon swapping. Large aim drift reduction. That means so aim drift is just like when you're aiming and then you see how it's slightly moving.
Yeah.
That's what aim drift is. So it just reduces that,
Okay,
which
that makes sense. Because that's what I originally. That's because that made sense for me with snipers, like with the sniper stock. That made sense.
exactly,
But I
yeah.
didn't quite understand it or think it was the same with SMGs and assault rifles.
Yeah. But like SMGs and assault rifles, aim drift is like totally irrelevant, right?
Okay,
In my opinion. I mean, like I don't see how this is relevant on an assault rifle aim drift. I don't know. Maybe it
I
is, but
gotcha.
on a sniper it certainly is. It's very relevant on a sniper. But let's see. Oh yeah, and then faster reload time. So a huge note with stocks is if you have a stock on your shotgun on your Eva, always switch it over to your assault rifle. Like shotguns have fast handling to begin with, very fast handling. It's not completely useless on a shotgun, but it's very very unnecessary. Same thing with submachine guns. It's mostly unnecessary to have a stock on a submachine gun. It's still very good, but it's unnecessary. Always switch stocks to your assault rifles. Always. Also, let's say you're running a submachine gun with an assault rifle, and your buddy doesn't have a stock on his submachine gun or on his assault rifle. You always should drop your stocks off your submachine guns for your buddies to have one on their assault rifle because
Okay.
they will gain way more than you lose, like way more. It's very important to have a stock on an assault rifle. Very, very important for weapon swap speed. So let me just quickly show you the weapon swap speed on the R301 with one. This is with one. See, very fast. Very, very fast. And now this is without one. See, much slower.
Uh,
And then I'll show you the reload speed too. See, pretty slow. And now watch with a little faster, or quite a bit faster. So, yeah.
I'm just glad I'm not crazy, like, because I've noticed it but can never figure out why. Because I've definitely had times where, like, I felt like the weapon should have came out faster and I probably just didn't have a stock on it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Cool, cool.
Yeah, stocks will definitely win you fights.
That's...
All right. One more Eva tip, or like a couple more, because I actually didn't even give you one yet. So yeah, just kill super fast. You want to barrel stuff with it. Let me quickly show you the full auto. Do you know that it's full auto?
Yes, but I've also had times where I click and hold and it's like it's extremely slow to the point where it felt like I could click it faster, if that made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely can't click it faster. You can experiment. Like, it's probably you just didn't have a shotgun bolt. That's probably why.
Okay.
But don't full auto it, please. Do not full auto it because it's way better to single fire. It's way easier to aim. It's so much easier to aim when you single fire. That dummy, he's not moving, so full auto is not. I mean, it's not hard to execute full auto. It's not hard to aim in the first place. But when you're playing against someone who is moving, you should 100% be using it single fire. You will be way more consistent that way. So
Okay.
yeah.
And would you say you would still do that even if you got like the jump on someone?
So like if he's standing still like this, let's say he's got a
Yeah.
longbow and he's standing still, then yeah, I'm just gonna hold down the trigger
Okay.
because that is fastest. But it doesn't actually make the fire rate higher if you hold down the trigger or the mouse click because you're on mouse. But yeah, it doesn't actually make it faster. What am I trying to say? Yeah, it doesn't make it faster. It just makes it so that you can sort of time your shots and be way more precise. It's way, way better to be able to time your shots and be more precise. Way better. And you'll see that. Like, if you ever want to experiment with it in a fight, feel free to try and hold it down. There's a chance you'll hit all your shots, but usually you're going to miss a lot. So, yeah. It's so awkward to track with it in full auto. It's very awkward, so, yeah.
Gotcha.
One more thing is the double tap. Have you tried out the double tap yet?
Yes, and I honestly don't like it. It's
I
so
agree.
much harder to hit with.
Yeah, it's harder to hit with. Not only is it harder to hit with, it also kills way slower. Not way slower, but much slower. So don't ever use it. It doesn't make sense. Don't use it.
How so the delay there is a larger delay in shots with the double tap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. um, but obviously the delay is arguably worth it
I,
because. Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's what I meant before when I noticed there was like a big delay in my shots. Is I probably had the double tap and there was a longer delay where I was expecting it to shoot but it wouldn't.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
That makes sense. All right. Yeah, I guess that's all I've got for shotguns. Um, do you have any sniper questions?
Not not particularly. What would you recommend being the best? Cause the main thing I've noticed, cause I played a good bit of Vantage for when she came out for like a week or two after she came out, so I ran a lot of snipers. And the main thing I noticed was obviously the longbow. The longbow loses a shit ton of velocity versus the sentinel, but my issue with the sentinel is that its second shot is so much slower. They like, unless they're dumb and repeat the same spot, they always just get behind cover before I can get another shot off.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Is it?
yeah, so my thoughts on the snipers are I think they're all completely equal, but they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. I think they're perfectly balanced actually. Like they're so equal. So the Sentinel, like you said, like I think you already have a good understanding of that. Oh, also a quick note, Vantage note is in my opinion, Vantage you might want to rock like like an R301 with a shotgun, for example, like because you already have a sniper for your alt,
Yeah,
and so
I realized that after probably about the first week
yeah, because that's like
because even
sorry, go ahead.
it was still I felt like I was better off just taking the extra shot with my sniper than trying to swap and get another shot, realign and get another shot off with a different sniper. So I did start doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing with Vantage is you can accelerate so well on her. So like the thing with other legends, like let's say you're trying to snipe on Wraith, or like yeah, let's say you're trying to snipe on Wraith. Even if you do big damage, you can't really accelerate fast. That's why Pathfinder is so good with snipers, because you can hit a big shot and then accelerate really quickly, so you can actually close the gap and sort of capitalize on that. Same thing with Vantage, right? So that's really, really nice. So like if you go for a big shot on Vantage, like hit a couple big shots, you can instantly accelerate. And then if you got two close range guns, then that's pretty nasty. So yeah. But
Accelerate, is that like her actual movement when putting away a sniper, or just her general ability movement?
yeah, I mean her ability, yeah. Because
Okay.
you can like instantly travel like 50 meters instantly. So like the problem with sniping on a character like Wraith, just as a stupid example, like just Wraith, is like Bloodhound you can at least accelerate on Bloodhound. Wraith you don't really have a way to accelerate to close the gap instantly. So that's why like Mandy he's the best sniper player by far, Mandy, and he loves Pathfinder because he can. So he runs sniper with a Peacekeeper. I would not recommend running sniper with a Peacekeeper, but because he's playing Pathfinder, he never plays medium range. He just plays long range and close range. So he plays long range, does big damage for his teammates, and then he grapples in and goes crazy with his Peacekeeper. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
Cool. So now to answer your question on which sniper's the best, Sentinel has its advantages because it has the highest damage, especially like, do you know that you can charge it with a cell, with cells?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I forget, or the pressure's on and it's like my last two cells and I miss shots. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I noticed that it's definitely easiest to hit shots with the Sentinel because I think the bullet velocity is just much better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. The longbow, I think the longbow's bullets are actually bigger, so you don't have to be as precise. But like you said, the velocity is better on the Sentinel. So, yeah. Like if you ever use a longbow, you'll notice the bullets feel kind of bigger. So, yeah.
And did they change the charge rifle? Because like everybody was running it last season, and now I see like nobody running it.
It might be the map.
Okay.
Charge rifle might not be the best on this map, but it's also not bad. But anyway, Sentinel, one more point is, yes, you need to hold more cells if you're using a Sentinel, but think about ammo consumption. It consumes way less ammo, so that's definitely the big advantage. Whereas like the charge rifle, it consumes so much ammo, so you have to hold
Yep.
so much ammo. So yeah, but so Sentinel, what you're going for, the mindset should be, if you're in a fight, hit one big shot on a guy, hit a big headshot, and then ape, because that guy, like if you hit him for like 140, because he's probably gonna have a helmet, so it's gonna be about 140, I think, for a headshot. So he's gonna be out of the fight for like at least 6 or 7 seconds. So that's sort of the thing. And then like also obviously like 3-2-1ing or focusing with your teammates. That's the big advantage of the Sentinel, is just hitting one big shot. Usually you're not going to hit more than 1 or 2 Sentinel shots in one fight. And then the longbow, like you said, it shoots way faster. So the longbow does the most damage per second, or not per second, but like, per clip and per like, you know what I mean? It's got the highest fire rate. It's got the best fire rate. And it also has 12 bullets per mag if you've got a gold mag, gold or purple. So, like, that's awesome. You can apply so much pressure to a team. And then the charge rifle is just by far the easiest sniper to use because it doesn't have bullet drop or anything. So it's super easy to use. So, yeah. That's why, in my opinion, they're all equal. Like, the charge rifle, like, it's more so a long-range weapon. Like, it's not, like, the charge rifle. It's super easy, but it also doesn't do that much damage very fast. So, yeah. Any questions? Yep.
I had a question about like wall jumping, right? So to say like, oh, actually 2 questions, because I've seen it used 2 ways, obviously, like a regular wall jump, and I've also seen people wall jump to get up on something. I don't understand how you do that,
Yeah.
because like I wall jump, I go up and out.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about that. I've just got like, so I like to try to keep everything in order so that I don't forget anything. So let's just do one thing and then we'll do that super quickly.
Gotcha.
All right, we're gonna come up here. This one thing, it's gonna be super fast. It's just like 2 minutes. All right, so ledge slide. So we just climb and slide like that. So climb, sprint, slide. If you don't have auto sprint on, you just climb, sprint, slide. Hold W, climb, sprint, slide. Climb, sprint, slide.
I do have that on. Climbs.
There you go. Yeah, you got it. You got it. You can slide just a millisecond earlier too. That was just a millisecond too late. You can slide a little bit quicker. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's that. Next one's going to be a 90-degree slide. So we go like this, turn 90 degrees and then slide. So climb, sprint, slide. Same exact inputs, but we turn with our mouse 90 degrees.
What's that?
Just turn your mouse 90 degrees. Yeah, you got it. Perfect. That's that one. So I'll quickly show you where I would use this. Is let's say
when would you do that versus just super jumping or super gliding?
Oh, super gliding? I would super glide every time if I could, but I cannot super glide with any consistency at all. So yeah, if you can consistently super glide, then definitely super glide. But that's not a super glide, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let me show you where I'd use this. Is let's say I'm using this as cover, playing this as cover. I hit someone for 100. I would use it to instantly accelerate and close the gap. That's where I'd use that ledge slide. Next is going to be a ledge jump. Oh yeah, I'll let you try that.
Climb, sprint. So if I have auto sprint, because I literally just saw that in the settings and just made it on, would it be better to just have it on or to have it off? Because I'm used to having it off. I still just hit shift just because I'm used to it. Is there a actual difference?
Yeah. So the only difference is that you can't walk. Right. That's the only difference.
And you could crouch. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but what you can do is you can always walk sideways, but that's kind of stupid because you can't see. But you can walk sideways.
And it's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a pretty big negative, is not being able to walk, but I don't know, it's not the end of the world.
What's this? I think I'm hitting this slide too fast. How fast should you be hitting this slide after you get up? Okay, so like a second.
Yeah, it's really a matter of perception. Like if I give you a number, you'll probably just overthink. So just get a feel for it.
Okay, I have not been doing this. Now I usually do like the opposite. So like I'm up here, I'm running, and then I slide off.
Yeah. Yeah, that also
I'm used
works.
to doing that,
Yeah.
but I didn't know you got like extra. Is it technically like a faster movement versus running across?
Yeah. So like,
Okay.
well, like I wouldn't use that in a fight because it's pretty easy to track you. But what I would use it for is this: like if I hit someone for 100, I use it to instantly accelerate. That's what it's used for. Because I'm
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I go from not moving to moving faster than I am if I'm running. Because a slide is
Yep.
faster than running. So
Okay. Cool.
yeah. All right, next is going to be a ledge jump. I saw you're already doing them, so it's just like a normal jump, we go half the length of this thing, whereas a ledge jump, we go the full length. So
Yep.
that's a ledge jump. You can try it if you like. Yeah, you
So
got
my
it.
ledge jumps are just my failed super glides, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you want any
There it
soup?
goes.
So how are you super gliding?
I changed some settings and I have it down so it changes my FPS to make the window like better
Oh yeah.
for it to happen, and then I do the 1-2 scroll down.
What are you changing your FPS to? Just out of curiosity.
I think it locks it to like I don't remember off the top of my head, but it locks it to the optimal frames for it to work. And if I mess up, it's just my timing that's messed up with it.
Oh, okay, I see. Can you guess what the
But
frames are, or no? Is that just not possible?
yeah, I can. So if I do, because if I press C, it what are my frames? It locks it to 30.
30. Wow, nice. That's crazy. But yeah, that's super cool. Um, let's see. And are you? Yeah, I'm sure you don't need tips because you've got a pretty good understanding. But yeah, most people, like from what I've heard, is most people hit spacebar and C at the same time. Are you super jumping with scroll wheel?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's an issue. So I actually talked to a movement god about this, like a guy that can super glide with like so much consistency. So if you do a scroll wheel, you can only possibly do it, I think, one in every 3 times or one in every 4 times, possibly. It's because it has to do with the timing of the scroll wheel. It's impossible to do it more than like one in every 3 or 4 times. It's just completely impossible.
I'm confused. Because for me, it's like it's so much harder to do it by, because I probably spent like an hour or 2 hours like when I first learned it trying to do it, and I was getting it maybe 1 out of 10 times. But then when I sat down with the scroll wheel, when I did it practicing on the same obstacle consistently, I probably got it like 1 out of 3 times,
Yeah,
which is not.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the super glide. So from my understanding of it, is you will get it one in every 3 times, regardless of your timing. Right? It's just like, but you cannot possibly do it more than one in every 3 times because it has to do with the precision of the scroll wheel. Like you just can't be as precise with it. Because so you understand. I'm sure you understand the scroll wheel inputs multiple jump inputs, right? Obviously,
Yes. I
and
think that's the whole reason why it locks the FPS to 30, because I think the background behind super gliding has to do fuck. It has to do with your like FPS input to the mouse input, and that's why it locks my FPS at 30 to make the scroll wheel be able to do it exactly right without that being an issue.
yeah,
That's my understanding of it. I'm not 100% sure though.
yeah. So like basically, but you understand that you can still only do it like one in every 3 times, though, right? Like at
Is
best.
is it even if you do it like the other way, like correctly?
Yeah. So like this guy that I was talking to, like this guy, he was insane. So we were 1v1ing and he would super glide like every single time. Like we were 1v1ing around this thing. He would super glide, do like a 360 tap strafe. It was insane. And so he said that it is impossible to do it more than like one in every 3 or 1 in every 4 times. And so everyone that I've talked to, if you start super gliding with spacebar and C instead, So you hit spacebar and C. Like if you got crouch on C, I'm sure you do.
I don't,
Oh, do you have it
but
on?
I have it on my. Okay, that kind of works.
So if you have it on C or V, like anything close to where your spacebar is, and then you hit spacebar and then C or V, that is how you do it with 100% consistency or close to 100%. Of course, I'm a controller player, so like, you know,
Is it a hold, or is it a regular crouch?
it can be a hold or a regular. For the super glide, it can be a hold or a regular. I think it's easier to time with a hold though,
Okay.
in my opinion. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, the reason I was asking about your FPS, by the way, is because I used to play console. I played 60 FPS on console, and I could super glide so much more often. That's partly why I can't super glide anymore, is because obviously it's so much easier on low FPS.
Doing something wrong.
Um,
It's once you go up, you're pressing space at the top and holding crouch, right?
yeah, but so you want to hit jump 1 millisecond before crouch. Jump 1 millisecond before crouch. And then another thing a lot of people do is a lot of people flip their C keys upside down. So let's say it's on C, crouch is on C. They flip it upside down because they say it's easier to time when you flip it upside down, the key itself. Do you know what I mean by flipping it upside down?
Oh, because
The shape of the plastic is
it's
different.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, flip that. I don't know. You don't have to if you don't want to, but so like a lot of people say their consistency increases by like 10 to 20% when they flip that upside down because it's just easier for some reason. So yeah, that is that. But like I don't know, if you're happy with like 1 in 3 consistency for super glides, there's nothing wrong with that. But definitely
I honestly don't do it like very often because usually I just mess up and end up standing in place.
yeah, exactly. Like 1 in 3 is honestly not really enough. It's got to be like 80% to use it in game. So
When I'm running, like generally when I would use it, I don't have the mind to try to do that while I'm thinking about other things.
yeah, and like the other thing with super gliding is, as you can see, like I can't really do it, but I can do it when I'm not thinking about it. Like right now, I'm thinking about it. If I don't think about it, I can do it probably closer to 50, maybe 40%. So yeah, you definitely don't want to be thinking about it at all. That's sort of the issue with practicing it. Is if you practice it too much, you're gonna overthink it. Like you got to practice it like maybe at most like 5 minutes a day, I would say. Because if you do it too much, you're just gonna get in your head too much. But also, honestly, it's a lot easier here on this side of an object. You might want to try it here. It's like for me, it's easier.
Alright. So it goes up. No. I don't know. I give up.
Yeah, it takes lots of practice. I know a lot of people can do it very consistently. Like Skittle Cakes, for example, he can do it consistently. He's on 240 FPS, and I don't think he lowers his FPS, and he can do it super consistently. So yeah, and he uses yeah,
I think they said that it was harder to do at like higher FPSs, and usually it would want to be capped.
I agree. I totally
But
agree. It's 100% easier on low FPS. It's way easier. I'm just saying it's possible on high FPS.
okay.
It's very possible because I know like one guy that can do it. I'd say he can do it well over 90% of the time, and he's on 240 FPS. Same thing with Skittle Cakes. I'm pretty sure Skittle Cakes is on 240, and he can do it close to 100% of the time. But he does definitely miss it sometimes. There you go. You got it there, didn't you?
I'm just trying to see if it can really only be done like 1 out of 3 times this way, because I definitely can't do it the other way.
Yeah. So that guy said he told me with absolute certainty that you don't want to be using scroll wheel because you just simply can't do it often enough.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh well.
All right, that's super gliding. Oh, I was gonna talk about ledge jumping. So let me quickly go over ledge jumping. So if you wanna, you stand right here, please. Oh, let me teach you one more. A 90-degree ledge jump. So you just climb, turn 90 degrees, and then jump like that. Climb, turn 90. Yeah, that looked really cool actually from my perspective because the way you swung the axe looked really cool.
Turn 90 degrees. I'm ledge jump. I'm trying to slide. Is it a slide jump or just a jump?
It's just a jump this time. Just a jump. Yeah, you kind of got
right?
it. Yeah, try doing it just straight. Just try doing it straight. So like if you do it wrong, you're gonna go half the length of this, and then if you do it right, you're gonna go with full length. And you can do this one with scroll wheel, I'm pretty certain.
Okay, that was it. Oh.
Yeah, you got it.
So if I use scroll wheel, it automatically does it every time, even if I don't hit the super glide.
Yeah. So let me show you where to use this now. Because this one's really nice. So stand right here, please. Just and try to track me when I fly over your head. Just try to track me so you can see how hard it is. So if you can use that to jump over people's heads, it's really nice. Now you try doing that to me, you'll see it's very easy for you to track if you do that to me. Very, very easy.
Oh. I don't know if that was right.
Yeah, you're not turning for some reason.
Wait, I'm supposed to turn?
Yeah, you're supposed to like track me, like pretend we're fighting.
Oh.
Yeah, just so you see. So like jump over my head, pretend we're fighting. Yeah, there you go. See? You see how easy that is to like hit your shots there?
Yep.
Super easy. In comparison to how hard it is. Now you try one more time from that side. You'll see it's so hard for you to hit your shots from there, right? It's so hard.
Yeah.
And so like it's like if you can do that to someone, it's so strong.
So my question then, when exactly would this be used versus me just doing that?
Oh, I wasn't looking. When would it be used?
Like versus me just walking up and
Yeah. So like, well, that like, look, like I can just do this. So we're equal right now, right? We're equal, right? Boom, we're equal, right? Okay. If you jump over my head, we're not equal. See? So
gotcha.
It's like an outplay, yeah. And then I'll show you like how I would counter that because you want to do everything you can to avoid letting that happen to you ever. So what you can do would be like maybe if I saw it coming, I would just run to here, right? And then corner peek like that. Right? So I would quickly holster, unholster, and then corner peek like that kind of. Right? So you want to do anything that you can. See, I just super glided because I wasn't thinking about it. You want to do anything that you can to possibly avoid that. Like everything you can to avoid that situation. So like what it would look like would be like if someone's trying to do that to me, I'd pressure them so that they can't possibly get in position to do that. Right? So yeah, it's like a game of counters. So like you just got to practice it. I mean, like obviously play the game to learn how to like counter it. So yeah, because you'll see, like I'm sure you've had people do that to you a lot.
It's probably happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee it has.
So yeah. And then one
second.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to take out this key real quick. Oh, I feel like I need key clippers. Ah, fuck it. I'm just gonna settle for hello. What the fuck? That was weird. Why is my mouse is unsynced with my settings?
I'm not sure.
Like just going through my settings, it's like up and left 6 inches, not over the keys. But I just want to switch. And so usually, if you're doing like spacebar crouch super glide, is it easier with toggle or hold?
I think toggle. I think everyone uses toggle on C.
Okay.
Or V. Some people use V. You can use C or V, or like whatever else might be comfortable. But like the reason it's so consistent is because you're crouching with the exact same finger that you're jumping with. So it's all one motion. So once you get that motion down with one finger, whereas like me when I super glide on controller, I'm using two different fingers on two different hands. So it's so much harder to time. So once you get the motion down and once you get the timing down, it's so much more consistent once you do it with one finger. And like if you're using what's it called, like shift and or control and what's it called, scroll wheel, then that's you're also using two different hands, so it's a lot harder to be consistent.
And are you jumping or crouching first? A crouch.
Jumping first. Jumping 1 millisecond before.
Ah, okay. So it would be.
Did you see what happened with your legs there?
No.
That's how you know you're close. That little thing that happened to your legs, that's how you know you're close.
Something feels. I don't. That's. I don't know why this is so hard.
I think it's just all practice. That's all it is.
I think it's because my spacebar is raised higher than. No, it's the same thing. I don't know. Alright. I'll practice that on my own time.
Alright, next, can you just stand right here, please?
Yeah.
Alright, so next is just a 90-degree ledge jump. So once again, like, look at me like we're fighting, kind of. See, so now, like, if I'm over here and I want to do the same sort of thing, I can do that, right? See, so it's just like, that's how you use the 90-degree one. It's like that. So
Gotcha.
you can try that if you want.
Okay, so it would be. Now you climb, and then you jump. Why is it sprinting?
There you go. You got it. And then, like, try to track me,
Okay,
kind of.
so it's a crouch jump, not just a jump.
No, it's no crouch, no crouch. There you go.
I don't know. It works on mouse wheel, and I can't double tap my spacebar without it just sprinting me.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just gonna use scroll wheel for it then.
Yeah, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There we go. You see that? That was a super glide tap
Yep.
strafe. Let's see. What's next? Any questions on that?
No.
All right, cool. I'll just quickly run you through my my wall bounce stuff. So first wall bounce. Do you know how to do like a normal basic wall bounce?
Like just a wrong one. Slide jump.
Also, maybe holster your weapon, so that'll make things easier. So yeah, slide, jump, and then let go your movement keys and jump again.
What is
It's gonna be a lot easier to scroll wheel.
No, something weird is happening. I keep like completely losing momentum.
There you go. You got it there.
Like there, it's not registering. I might be having a keyboard issue because it's not registering some of my jumps.
Are you jumping while you're holding crouch?
No, I release and then.
If you're on hold to crouch, you want to make sure that you're jumping while you hold crouch.
That might be it.
There you go.
I don't know. I generally tap strafe into them.
Oh yeah.
So just running straight at a wall and trying to do it's confusing.
Yeah, so it's super important to get very good at wall bounces from different angles. Different shaped walls, that sort of thing. Super, super important. So that you can, because like, if you can only wall bounce off a certain amount of angles or whatever, then you're definitely limiting yourself.
I just need to use my toggle crouch for it. It's so much easier.
Yeah.
I just recently changed to using both the hold crouch and the other crouch.
Yeah.
For like learning bee hopping, so I'm still getting used to settings a little bit.
Yeah. So the most important thing with hold to crouch is get good at just slide jumping, because it's obviously the foundation of every other movement. And so yeah, just make sure you're good with the slide jumping, or you could just use toggle if you want. But yeah, that's it. That's a basic wall bounce. Looks like you already knew how to do it. Next wall bounce. Can you stand right here, please?
Yep.
All right, so this one's called a bounce peak. So it's where I bounce up and I peek you like this. So it's super nice because I can peek up, like I can peek and take so little damage. So the way that you do a bounce peak is, the first thing that you need to understand is, like, if I approach from over here, my momentum is going to go all the way over here, right? And same thing, like if I approach over here, my momentum is going to go back here. So the momentum's a lot different depending on the angle that you approach from, which is very obvious. But that means that, like, the direction that you have to hold to counter that momentum is going to be a lot different depending on the angle that you approach from. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, like,
So, hey, are you making like a last minute turn or last second turn into it? Because I always thought you had to tap strafe into it for you to get that type of bounce.
yeah, there's no tap strafe involved in this.
What?
Yeah, you just look at the wall, just look at it like that.
Because usually when I try to do it like that, I end up like sliding into the wall.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to make sure that your camera is looking at the wall.
Oh, so.
Yeah, you got it. And then it's no tap strafe either. Once you're in there, you don't. I mean, you can tap strafe if you're more comfortable with it, but it's no tap strafe required. You just hold like whatever direction you want to go in, depending on like how much momentum you have to counter that momentum.
What's the slimmest angle you can do it at? Like, is
You can do it at any angle.
Because especially when I get like closer in like this, I usually just end up like sliding into the wall.
Watch
something weird.
Watch me so I can answer your question. I just want to show you like the slimmest angle.
Yep.
It's like this.
Okay, so I need to completely turn it.
Yeah.
Face it.
If you want to make it way easier, you need to start here for the bounce peak. So see, once you're in the air, you want to hold D, right? So that you counter that leftward momentum. I mean, like for that angle at least. For this angle, you definitely don't have to. But yeah, so the goal is to try to do a little bounce peak so that you disappear, so that you like disappear back. Nice, that was pretty good.
Oh, I have to hold.
So you have to hold the direction that you want to go, depending on the momentum that you have. So for this, you don't really input much aside from W. You might input A or D a little bit.
Oh, damn. I need to hold D. Jump, bounce. I'm not peeking out when I do it though. Should I? Okay, should I be holding A to like get the angle to bounce out, or should that be the angle that I approach it to to get to already bounce out this way before holding D to go back.
Yeah. Your momentum should be carrying you left to begin with, so you don't need to hold A.
Oh, so I don't need to touch anything. Okay.
And then
I got it.
yeah. But you want to hold W a little, so like watch from here. You don't have to hold W too much, but watch from here, please. Just like stand here to watch the angle. Watch how tight I stay to the wall. Watch how tight I am. See, so you want to input W a little so that you stay nice and tight to the wall. Because then you can keep doing it like this. Then you can just keep spamming it if you stay nice and tight. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I do want. Got it.
Yeah, that was a lot closer.
Because that was one thing like I never. Because my main issue when I mess up is I accidentally hold W, so I don't actually get the bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, I crawled. Okay. I think it's literally because I'm thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to hold W. Slide jump. Should I be holding W and D, or is it separate?
W and D? Yeah, it's a little bit of W and D. It depends on the angle, though. Like, how much you hold D is very dependent on the angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of W for sure, though.
That brings...
There you go. That was really precise. That was pretty close.
So I think it would probably
So
be easier.
I think that what's happening when you're holding W maybe is I think when you hold W, it's sort of activating a tap strafe. So do you know that like you can actually tap strafe without scroll wheel? Did you know that?
No.
So like spamming W sort of, I don't have a good understanding of this, by the way, but spamming W sort of tap strafes for you. So that's the point. Obviously, scroll wheel, when you tap strafe, you bind W to your scroll wheel, so it inputs a bunch of W inputs, like instantly. So like originally, I'm pretty sure people tap strafed without scroll wheel, like before you could tap strafe with scroll wheel, or like before they knew that you could just use scroll wheel for it. I think that originally people were doing it without scroll wheel.
Okay, I finally did it.
Yeah, and so what's happening basically, what I'm trying to explain is when you're hitting W, the reason you're going so far to the right is because it's activating a tap strafe when you hit W. That's part of the issue that you're having, I think. Does that make sense? Because what you're doing is you're bouncing and then you're tap strafing right. That's why you're not being precise. So
I'm gonna grab a PK. It makes a lot more, or I don't know. It seems to work better when I actually have a weapon equipped.
yeah.
I don't know if it's just me or.
When you have so if it's because when you have a weapon equipped, it's probably because it's slower, so it's easy for you. It's easier for you to adjust because you're moving slower, most likely. But once you get good at it, you want to be able to do it without a weapon. So you want to be able to do like what I was doing. So like where you unholster, slide jump, and then boom, right? So that you go in full speed.
Oh.
Yeah, then you're full speed. But like you're just learning, so learn however you're comfortable learning. And then of course, like if you're in Bloodhound alt, this is even harder because you're moving even faster. So yeah, because you seem to be a Bloodhound player, so thought I'd say that. You definitely want to learn how to wall bounce in Blood on Alt. Because you're a Blood on player. So definitely get your Hound Alt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
So I have to do it like way earlier.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's something I never actually tell anyone ever, is that learning how to wall bounce when you're Octane stemming or in Hound Alt is yeah, so you gotta just learn a normal one at first. Just like you gotta slide from really far back. Oh, there you go. You actually got it perfectly. That's nice. So yeah,
Okay, it's starting to make sense. My fingers just have to catch up with my head.
for sure. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, any more questions on that?
No, it should be good.
Cool. All right. Well, that's all I've got for today. Um, if you have any more questions, just feel free to ask, and we've still got 2 more sessions left. So
Yep.
yeah, and then like yeah,
I'll prob
practice this. Feel free to ask any questions. We've still got a ton more movement stuff to go over. So yeah,
okay. I'll probably just schedule another one for next weekend,
cool.
someday as well. If
Sounds good.
that's good. Okay.
Yeah. We could schedule right now if you want. You could just send me a message on like whatever time
Yep.
works for you. Just decide and then send
Yep.
it, because I'm currently unbooked
All
for
right.
next Sunday, so you can schedule anytime.
Okay.
And so yeah, so we got a ton. I don't know if you want to do more movement stuff, but we do have a ton more movement stuff to do. So
Yeah.
I'll send you a message. It's gonna say like where we left off. So like we kind of have to both remember, so neither of us forgets where we left off. So yeah,
Okay. Awesome.
cool.
I will do that. Appreciate it, man. I learned a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm
I
glad.
just gotta try to remember and review, make sure I get it down.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. Well, have a nice day.
All right. Have
Oh, you cut out. Where do you go?